everyone, welcome to tutorial 7 for LTEC 620. In this tutorial, we're actually going to focus on designing the left side of this existing flyer. And so that we're going to put in this Aikido text, we're going to put in an image, and then we'll put this text down here at the bottom. And as you can see, I'm starting pretty much where we left off with the previous tutorial. The only thing that's different is I have saved this as tutorial 7. And so what I want to do is actually, I'm going to lock our vertical and border layers. Clicking here. Whoops, it looks like I unlocked the original. That was an accident. So what we're going to do is with the recreation layer, we are going to create a new layer. And what I want to do, notice that it came up here above. I actually want to drag it down so that it is a child of the recreation layer. So I'm just going to drag, wait for that green bar and release it. And I am actually going to call this left column, just like that. And so everything we're going to design now is going to go into this left column layer. Okay, so now let's turn on the visibility of our original design. Now what we want to do to make it really easy to replicate the existing design, what we want to do is we're going to add in some guidelines. So let's come up to view, make sure show guides is on. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to create two guides for the Aikido text here. So I'm going to put one right at the top of the Aikido text, something like that. And I'm going to drag another one and put it right there. Okay, very good. And now what I'm going to do is drag one that looks something like this. That's basically the edge of that photograph. And now I am going to put in another one here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but pretty close. Let's get right to the bottom. And then let's box. I want one right here for this first line of text. Notice I'm putting it at the bottom, and then another one here right under the word violence. Okay, very good. So now what I have here more or less are workspaces that I can use to populate these areas of the left-hand column. And what we're going to start with first, of course, is putting in this Aikido text. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to grab the text tool and I'm going to make sure that it's Arial. And what I'm going to do is just click in this space right here and type in the word Aikido. Okay, obviously it needs to be much larger than that. So I'm going to double click in there. And if you're having a hard time selecting it because you have those big handles, you can just click on this and then do Command or Control plus to zoom right in on it. Now with this selected, let's get quite a bit bigger font, something like this. And if I remember right, notice these are all capitals. So we should type our Aikido to be all caps. Okay, very good. And with my move tool, I'm going to kind of put this somewhere around here. And now we know that the Aikido text should go from this guideline down to this one. And so what I'm going to do now is actually size my text. Now, how can we resize text? Well, we can use this like this, but we can also use these handles. Now, one thing we can do is just stretch text like this vertically. Now that's actually, I'm going to undo that. I want to resize this text so that it scales equally without distortion. So in order to do that, I have to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to drag and drop just like that until I came all the way down to that line. And now I'm going to try to fit this in. That is probably a little too big. So I'm going to do something a little bit smaller, maybe something like that. And again, I'm holding down the Shift key so it doesn't distort on me. Well, maybe something like that. And the idea, of course, is to get fairly close to what we have in the original. Now, I actually think the original text is bold, which makes it a little bit heavier. And then I'm actually going to line it up on the bottom, just like that. Now, we could really play around with the font and get everything to be just right. That's not our point for this particular exercise. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do, we've got some Aikido text in there. The next thing we need to do is actually insert an image. We don't have this exact image, but Affinity comes with some images that we can use to put in there. And so let's go ahead and do that. So on my left column label, let's go ahead and lock the title so we don't accidentally move that. And let me close this. And in the left column layer, I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to make sure it's a child of left column. And in that, I'm actually going to come to the stock photo studio. And you can see here, there are lots of things that you can search, but I'm going to search the Unsplash library. And if you're not familiar with Unsplash, that's a third-party stock photo library that is actually built right into Affinity Designer. There's also Pexels and Pixabay, other options that you can use. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to type in Aikido, and then I'm going to search. And you're going to see these different images come up. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. I think I'll choose this one right here. I'm going to drag and drop this. And of course, it's going to be way too big. Okay, that's not a problem though. What I can do is just grab one of the handles to resize it. And I'm going to try to get it roughly into this area here. And if I switch over to layers and I turn on my original layer, let me drag one more guide out. So the original looked something like this. Looks like I somehow got an extra layer in here, which I didn't want to do. So I'm going to grab the image and make it a child up here, and then I'm just going to delete this random layer 1. Okay, good. And let me go ahead and hide this. And so we want to take up this full width, just like that. Now, notice this is going too far down. So I'm just going to put in Aikido stock photo so I can remember what this layer actually is in the left column. And what I'm going to do is actually crop this. So I'm going to come over to the toolbar on the left-hand side, and I'm going to click this tool right here, the crop tool. And notice I get these little flat handles. So what I can do is just simply drag that up right up to my guideline, and boom, it has cropped that photo for me. Okay, very good. Now what I want to do is turn on my original, and so we're getting closer. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Now we want to deal with this bottom text down here at the bottom. So again, I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to add it as a child of left column, and I'm going to rename the Aikido title to be title. And then I've got my stock photo, and notice that it's actually shows me the indicator that I've cropped that photo. I could delete that crop if I wanted to. And then layer 1, let's call this main body text. And our goal, of course, is to recreate this text right here. I'm going to grab the text tool, and I'm just going to start typing. Now I know that this current font's way too big. I'm going to come over to something like 24. And I'm just going to start typing, and I know I can't quite see it. So what I'm going to do is turn off the visibility here, and I'm going to move Affinity Designer over, and then I'm going to open up this flyer. So I need to be able to see both at the same time. And so I will drag this over and then reposition this, and then come back over to this main body text. Let me grab the move tool. I want to move this down so I can see it. And now right away I can tell bold is on, and I don't want bold on, so I'm going to turn that off. And all I'm going to do is just type in is a unique, and I'm going to follow the exact spacing. So I'm putting in hard returns after each line. Okay, very good. Now what we can do, let's go back to Affinity full screen. The pan tool, move this over a little bit, and let's see what we can do here. Looks like I have a little extra space there that I didn't want. And now one of the things, if I look at the original, is I notice this text is actually italic, and it has a center alignment. So let's make sure our recreation has that. So I'm going to select all of this text, and I did that by just dragging and dropping or hitting Command A or Control A, and I'm going to center it, and I'm going to turn on italic size. Now with the move tool, I know that this guideline right here should be the top, and then I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm just going to resize this a bit so violence comes down just like that. And I can pull this up just a touch more, just a smidge. Very good. Okay, now let's just see. Not bad. Oh, looks like I have a typo here that I need to fix. It's okay, very good. Looks like we have most of the text in there. It's a little big, so I may bring this down just a touch, maybe to like 26. And what I can do is actually increase the spacing of it, kind of like this there. That's a little bit more similar. So did you see that? I came up here to adjust this is the spacing between the lines. That looks pretty good, just like that. Okay, now what I want to do in my left column layer is I'm just going to rearrange these things so it follows a logical order. I want title to be at the top, then the stock photo, oops, and then the main body text. So it goes 1, 2, 3. Very good. Now, one thing I notice about the title is it's coming past this line. And notice how the initial Aikido text was more or less stopping at the same edge as the photo. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So let me unlock this and hide the original. And let me see here. I'm actually going to scrunch this up a little bit, just like that. So it fits in there kind of nicely like that. Okay, very good. And so there you have it, folks. We have created the left column of our flyer. And so now what I can do is go ahead and lock the left layer. I'm not going to work on that anymore. And in the next tutorial, we'll focus on the right side of this design. Okay, everyone, we're out of time for today. Have a great week, and I'll see you in Canvas.